Yesterday, I started putting together a team that I intend to turn into a one-key Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss team. And I said that today I would put out a guide, kind of walking you guys through just how everything should look. I'll put up the chart for the speed thresholds you're going to want to hit. And we'll talk a little bit about masteries and how to, incorporating damage stats. We're just going to kind of go through and talk about everybody. Now, again, I did not come up with this comp. I don't know who did. I know that Rust has a video on it. I know Stu put out a video on it. I know that Murder Inc. put out a video similar to it, if not on this comp. I don't know who it's from, but we're going to talk about it, spread a little bit more awareness for it. Shout out to whoever came up with this comp. It is Double Maneater, Seeker, Painkeeper, and then a Damage Dealer. And in my case, Draco for now. Once I get this up to a 1 key and get the rest of the team situated where they're doing a decent amount of damage, I do have plans to swap other damage dealers in and just kind of play around with it and see what we can get out of some other champs in an unkillable comp like this. But for now, we're using Draco just to get ourselves up to that 1 key. So let's talk about what we're looking at here. Now, I'll pull up the speed thresholds real quick. And they're here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about the fastest on the team, which needs to be one of the Maneaters. One of the Maneaters needs to be the fastest on the team at 265 plus. Mine is at 268. As long as he's over 265, you should be in good shape. Now, a little bit hard. This is kind of a speed demanding team. There are easier setups to work with, and I do have videos up on some of those as well. But if you want to try this one out and really increase the damage, this is a pretty solid unkillable team. There's lots of potential for damage depending on your gear here, but hitting those speeds while incorporating the damage stats can be tough. You'll see on this Maneater, all I really was able to focus on was hitting the speed. 265 is pretty beefy, so unless I start stripping gear off some other champs and, taking away from some of my other teams, I kind of got to use what's left over, and I have not, I'm going to be honest with you, I have not gear farmed in probably 4 or 5 months. It's been a long time since I've gone into a dungeon to farm gear specifically, so I'm using a lot of leftover stuff here. But if you've got the gear, hit the speed, and then start working on getting these damage stats up, okay? So, the crit damage amulet is going to be a big help. If you can do crit damage on the gloves and find some crit rate in the substats along with the speed, things like that are gonna want to be what you focus on. If you can use attack percentage armor, that's going to be really helpful on these guys. Okay, the less speed sets you can use and still get the speed, if you can get bonuses from crit damage sets, crit rate sets, these are things to think about as you're looking for gear for these guys. But again, it's a little bit speed intensive, going to be something you do a little bit later in the game. But if you've got it and you want to try it, here it is. Even without really focusing damage too hard, it's still a very easy 2 key. I think when I just worried about hitting the speed thresholds, we were doing like 43, 44 million a key with this. So it seems like it'll be an easy 2 key, and then you can upgrade over time as necessary. But the first Maneater, 265 plus, right? Next in line, we're going to have Seeker. He's gonna be second in the turn order, and he's down here. Now, Seeker, we got a little bit of attack on. We've got to work on getting the crit rate, crit damage up. He surprisingly does decent damage, though. I think I got 6 million out of him last key. I think he out-damaged everybody except one of the man-eaters, maybe? I think one of my man-eaters did 7. He did 6, and we've got no crit stats on him. So there's a lot of room to improve on his damage here. And he needs to be in the 249 to 257 range, okay? Same things apply here. If you can get a good crit damage amulet on him, great. There's potential. If you 6-star him, it's going to help a lot because you can get some speed in the banner. We got 15 speed on that banner. Here, if I can get some attack armor, some speed armor with an attack as a main stat to replace that, that's going to help out a lot. But really what we need to do on him is get some crit stats. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for on him to make those improvements for Seeker. But he's next in line. Now, the Maneater's Masteries, real quick, we'll pop back over, are the same as they've been in any other unkillable comp. Where are they? Right there. All right. You want to avoid anything that affects turn meter, anything that affects cooldowns, right? And then over here, I gave him this just to give him an opportunity to counterattack occasionally, but occasionally. Same stuff it's always been, right? Get him down to War Master, give him a chance to counterattack sometimes. Over here on this Maneater, we did this just to kind of help out with the speed, get him, because I was using speed sets on him. You can duplicate the other Maneater, but basically the important thing is that you avoid turn meter stuff, avoid cooldown stuff, and get him down to War Master, okay? And that's kind of going to be the case with everybody on the team. You're going to want to avoid turn meter and cooldown masteries across the board. You don't want any of that interfering. You'll see on him, all I've done is just taken him down to War Master. We'll worry about the other stuff later, but really that's the big thing that you want to make sure that you're doing. Take a look at Draco's masteries real quick. I took him off lifesteal because I'm using a Fury set on him, so that as his HP is low, he does more damage. And with the lifesteal, he was healing himself quite a bit with the procs and the extra damage he's getting from Fury. Now what I have done is I've lost a little bit of accuracy putting him on a Fury set. We're going to talk about Draco in a second. But I just want to show you everybody's mastery so we can get that out of the way. We've got Painkeeper here. Leaning over a little far. I'm sure you've been able to hear me, but same idea over here. Get her down to War Master, and you'll be good to go. Pretty sure she's a 2-hitter on the A1, yeah. So masteries are fairly straightforward. Get them down to War Master, avoid turn meter and cooldown masteries, okay? Speaking of Painkeeper, a lot of the same stuff applies. We've got decent crit damage on her, decent crit rate. Attack needs to come up a bit, but her damage scales in a weird way. She's a defense attack here, HP attack here. So certainly attack is going to be a good one to focus, but she gets stuff from other places too. So you can kind of mix it up with her as necessary, but she is in the 239 to 257 range. Now an important thing to note here is that she needs to be slower than the Seeker. Okay, so while that's her threshold, what it really is 239 up to 1 under Seeker. She needs to be slower than Seeker. So keep that in mind. The turn order is the faster Maneater, Seeker, Painkeeper, the slower Maneater, your damage dealer. That needs to be the turn order. So when I give you these speed thresholds, keep in mind that the turn order also has to be right. Beyond that, same things apply, okay? Get her to the appropriate speed. If you can get the crit damage on her, that'll be great. If you can bump her attack stats up, that'll be great. For now, probably just work on hitting the speed, okay? Then we have the slower Maneater, who's down here somewhere. One of these days I'll scroll the right way the first time. And he is 239 to 247, but again, slower than Painkeeper, okay? And same things apply, right? Hit the speed, and then whatever damage you can milk out of your gear, milk it, right? So like, there's a lot of room to improve here. We've got good crit rate on him. Now we got to work on getting his crit damage up. Attack is okay. He could probably be fine with the attack there. Really, we just want to get a little bit more crit rate and get that crit damage up. And then last on the list is your damage dealer in the 221 to 227 range. For us, that is Draco. And I'm pretty happy with his stats. We've got good enough crit rate, solid crit damage, pretty good attack. The only thing we're lacking here is the accuracy. I lost a little bit of accuracy, so I'm going to see about making some improvements to that over time. But he's still doing like 27 million by himself, just like this. So I feel like if I can get him to 30, I can get everybody else up to doing about 10, and that'll put us around that 1 key territory. So let's talk about, now that we've looked at the team, let's talk about the setup real quick. The setup is probably the easiest setup I've ever seen for any of these teams. Aside from just coming in and immediately hitting auto, this is a very easy setup. It's literally a 1-turn setup, okay? So you'll come in, your fast Maneater goes first, you're going to A3. Then your Seeker's going to go, you're going to A1. Then your Painkeeper's going to go, you're going to A3. And then this Maneater's going to go, you're going to A1, and then auto. So all you really have to remember is A3, A1, A3, A1, auto. and then it'll run. It'll run for 50 turns, and you can come back and diagnose the amount of damage. We are doing about 49, somewhere between 48 and 50 million a key with the current setup. And like I said, there's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of damage to be added to everybody. A little bit more accuracy on Draco, I think, is going to help him push closer to that 30, because he does miss some poisons. He does miss the weakening defense down occasionally, because I've only got him at like 210-ish accuracy. So we're going to be making the adjustments that we can to get his accuracy back and not sacrifice too much damage and work everybody else up. And that is what we'll be doing in the series. I've also started the series of working my way to a 1-key clan boss. So we started that yesterday, if you saw that. Tomorrow's episode will probably be what we did in the stream. We did a lot of work in the stream this morning, so what I'm probably going to do is strip that out and put that up tomorrow as part of the series, just so you guys can see how I'm approaching it, what kinds of changes I'm making. So if you want to follow that, maybe that'll help give you some insight into how to do it in your own account. Because it can be tricky, for sure. You know, to need to be in these specific speed areas. The nice thing about this is that there are windows of speeds, right? It's not like has to be 212, has to be 214, has to be this. You have these windows that give you some wiggle room. So as long as you stay within those windows and keep your turn order in line, you're good. So there's a lot more wiggle room, a lot more potential here. It opens up the ability to use a lot more gear than if you needed specific speed every time. So I think it's a fun one. It is always nice to have a project in Raid, because there are not a lot of them, depending on where you're at in the game. Not a lot of projects right now, not a lot of stuff to work on. So I am enjoying having this to do. For anybody that's made it this far in the video, some of you may remember this. I used to have a free-to-play series called Adventures of the Pauper. And we were just kind of working our way through the game using whatever you can get that's not from a shard. You farm it. You know, we make adjustments as we go, but it was basically a full free-to-play series, and we were going to see how far we could get in the game. And I haven't done anything with that account in a long time. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. I'm thinking about bringing that back too. Again, just something to do that's raid related. Let me know if that's some content you guys would be interested in seeing. The account's not super far. We could also just start another new one and go straight from the beginning. Since things are very different now than when I started that account, it might be worth it to just start a new account totally from scratch and play through it. So let me know you guys' thoughts on that, if that's something you would be interested in, if you would prefer that I start a brand new account with the game in its current state, or revive that account from way back. Which one would be more interesting to you? And I'll gauge the feedback over the next few days and see what we want to do with that. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a good time with this team. It's been a pretty fun comp to build and get to work, and the fact that there's a lot of wiggle room and a lot of tweaks to be made, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying having this team to put together. So hopefully it helps you guys out. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, shout out to whoever originated the comp. I don't know who came up with it, so I can't credit them specifically. I guess if you know, drop it in the comments so that we know. But that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow with more work on this team, getting them closer and closer to that 1-key. Hopefully by the end of the week we'll be there. If you want to come hang out on the stream, I stream Raid every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We go for about an hour or two, and we're trying to come up with some fun stuff to do in there. So if you want to come kick it, that's where I'll be at those times on weekdays. Stream in the evenings as well if you want to come kick it there. Not Raid, but we just chill out and play stuff. That's it. I'm done rambling. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you later.